Tonight, we introduce you to RHA's monthly FICAs, theater director Dane Ossel-Osen, and PLU's men's soccer team. Hello, Lutz, and welcome to the first News at 9 of the year. I'm Angelina Johnson. President Christ made a rare appearance on campus last week for RHA's first FICA of the year. While we weren't able to talk with Christ, we did speak to two RHA representatives to learn about their FICAs.
And then Lucy Morris had a big explosion in French, and she said, "That's so funny, I just got it." 20 minutes after.
RHA hosted their first FICA of the year last Wednesday in Harstead. But what exactly is a FICA?
So the purpose of the first FICA is traditionally the state of the university, which just kind of goes over where we are financially, maybe new things that came to campus, anything that Dr. Christ sees as important for us to know as students, and then also gives a chance for the students to ask questions about new things that they might have seen on campus as well.
The students were definitely interested, getting to know Christ on a personal and presidential level.
It was really encouraging. It kind of motivated the point of having more FICAs and kind of just related to the theme of why we're even having these in the first place. It's really encouraging to see that the students are taking advantage of this opportunity to talk to Dr. Christ and actually interested in the state of the university and are interested in learning more about how PLU is run.
RHA's FICAs happen every month. And if you're not sure you want to go, there may be no better way to let your opinion on campus issues be heard.
If they're interested in getting to know not just President Christ, but if they have concerns about the university, this is a place to voice those concerns. Not just concerns, but if there's things you're curious about, you can come and ask President Christ. If there are things that maybe you appreciate and you want to see more of that, that's also something to tell President Christ, because he's very lighthearted in these conversations, but he takes them very seriously, and he takes the input of students very seriously. So some serious change can happen if students come and decide they want to voice their opinion.
This is Jake Bilyeu and Natalie Mooney reporting for Mast TV.
And you see this in other places. So I think
RHA and President Christ host one FICA every month, and the next one will be October 10th at 7 p.m. in Tingelstad. President Christ will also be appearing on campus with members of the Title IX Working Group to host a sexual assault and violence forum this Tuesday, September 27th at 3:45 in the Regency Room. Christ has asked students to join in an effort to expand community understanding and advocacy, while also increasing the safety and care for our community. The Mast is also teaming up to serve the community with ASPLU. Both groups will present the presidential election debate watching party this Monday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in the Cave. Regardless of which side you're on, it's sure to be an entertaining showdown, so come on down and enjoy the debate. If you haven't checked out PLU's website or picked up a copy of the most recent Mast, you will have missed PLU's new Listen campaign. The campaign asks community members to embrace diversity, actively promote social change, and help students from all backgrounds feel like they belong. You can find more information by checking out the Mast or by visiting plu.edu/listen. College life can be difficult to navigate. New classes, new friends, and new schedules are demanding and stressful for both students and faculty members. Asking for advice can make you feel anxious or silly, especially if you're still trying to find your own identity in a new place. But you don't need to feel this way. The Mast is introducing Shirley Says, a fun new advice column where you can ask anything without having to compromise your identity. You can also follow and submit questions via email to mast@plu.edu and learn about weekly mental tips and general life pointers. Also, Trinity Lutheran Church is hosting One Voice, One Nation in the hopes of bringing together the community and promoting unity, and at least 18 guest speakers are slotted to speak on strategies for peace and the celebration of our differences. The event begins September 28th at 7 p.m. and will continue until October 1st at 6 p.m. Many students were saddened toward the end of the summer to hear about the passing of student Tom Fiefel. Fiefel died on August 29th, just before starting what would have been his sophomore year. PLU will host a celebration of life for Tom Fiefel on September 22nd in Lagerquist Concert Hall at 6 p.m. Tom's mother, Jane Fiefel, made a beautiful tribute to her son, which can be found on the second page of the Mast. And finally, students off campus were frightened last week when a house fire on 123rd Street caused an uproar of panic among students. Mast News editor Rhiannon Berg was on the scene.
Stephanie called us and she told us that she was working the Harstad front desk and that she had heard sirens and she thought that there might be a house on our street on fire. So Michael and I were studying in the UC and we grabbed our bags and we ran all the way here, and I took that video while I was running, and sure enough the house across from us was on the street, or was on fire, and we just stood here and watched. I checked in with the cops. They said everything was under control or whatever, but I ended up offering my neighbors water because I felt bad. I don't know them that well, but I mean, no one deserves to have their house burned down.
Although many belongings were destroyed, none of the house's occupants were injured. Firefighters even retrieved an occupant's cell phone from the burning bedroom. Up next is Arts and Culture's preview of the upcoming student-directed play, Death and the Maiden. We'll be right back.
It's all about the river.
It's the foundation of all of life and all of who we are.
Our great expansion of the economy and the greater use of chemicals following World War II led to a lot of toxic waste entering our waterways. Our rivers were just being decimated.
Waterways weren't seen as waterways, they were seen as conduits to discharging wastewater and pollution.
More than 300 million people in the United States, that's well over 90% of our population, depend on public water supplies for their drinking water sources.
You can't throw a plastic bag in the river and not expect it to affect someone or something down the road. There's always a consequence.
If people only knew what these pollutants do, then they would make the changes necessary.
No plan is perfect, but you have to actually have a plan to be able to modify it.
Unless we create a culture or shift the paradigm in our community that everybody's an advocate, then we're not going to make much progress.
And I think that the river will fix itself if we give it the opportunity. So, but it has to have a chance in order to do that.
Welcome back to News at 9. This is Everything Arts and Culture. The Wong Study Away program fair was held this morning in the AUC Regency Room. If you missed out or forgot to go, just check out plu.edu/wongcenter or email wongs.center@plu.edu for more information. One of the first traditional hall events is near. Hinderly's Toga Party takes place this Saturday at 7 p.m. Swing by the Hinderly Ground Floor Lounge to get your Greek on. If you can't wait that long, PLU's improv group, the Clay Crows, will be hosting their own Kroga party in the KHP's Black Box at 5:30. The Karen Hilly Phillips Center will also be hosting this fall's Ruth Anderson Public Debate. Students and guest debaters will go back and forth discussing whether or not a third-party vote is a wasted vote on October 4th at 7 p.m. in East Fold Auditorium. Auditoriums have come and gone, and now students can expect to see plenty of theater events coming around the corner. The first of these is Death and the Maiden, a play written in 1991 by Ariel Dorfman. The play originally featured 2 men and 1 woman in the cast, but student director Dane Osley Olson decided to go with an all-female cast. Mast TV sat down with Olson and some of the cast members to learn more about the upcoming production.
I chose this play because my dad got me a copy of the script and said, "Hey, I think you would like this a lot." I sat down and I read it one day, and it's the first script I've ever read. I got through it in like 45 minutes. I think it's a really important play. I think it's a really important play in any time and place, but especially right now with all of the awareness that's being brought to sexual assault on college campuses. This is an important play to do because it touches on that subject also.
It's kind of difficult to approach it because she's a very diverse character. She has a lot going on within her, but her tendency towards anxiety and fear and that kind of just intensity, I can really relate to that. On a more deep level, I mean, I'm not going to say that I was a prisoner of war and abused repeatedly, but I have had myself and people around me directly affected by sexual assault, and so it's interesting to be put into a character who, though she's more intense, it's like to have that string in common. It's really easy to pull upon those experiences to make the actual performance a little bit more truthful.
Yeah, and with Gerardo, I think she in our show is a girl. I think she's the character that I relate to the most out of all of them. At the end of the play, Gerardo tries really hard to do the right thing and is just kind of a terrible person because of that. And just this constant desire to do good and to make sure that the presentation is good and to just be what the public eye wants to see, and then isn't really. It's very corrupt, really, in the end, which I don't think I'm very corrupt, but in terms of wanting to do good and wanting to put on a good face and stuff, I think with Gerardo I'm similar in that regard.
I think it's a commentary on guilt and innocence, and that none of us are truly innocent.
Death and the Maiden opens October 7th at 7:30 in the Black Box at KHP. So be sure not to miss the show. Other upcoming theater events include Amadeus, which will open October 13th and is directed by theater professor Jeff Clapp, as well as Night of the Musical Theater, directed by junior Lydia Bill, and opening on October 27th. We will bring you more information on those performances in the future, and we will also let you know when the first Plutonic Harmonic concert of the year is on its way. Well, that's everything for arts and culture. Up next is Sarah Burns with sports. Stay tuned.
It's not only a great way for physical activity, but I think it's a great way for people to bond together and make friendships. Because I've met most of my friends here at PLU through intramurals and sports.
It brings a fun competitive atmosphere as far as just getting out there, getting some exercise, playing the sport you like playing. There's t-shirts at the end. If you're the champions, you get some t-shirts and all that kind of stuff, so there's prizes you can win. It's just a really fun way to go out and compete. Even if you're not playing at a college level in the sport, you can go out and have fun with some friends and all that.
It's a stress reliever for many students, so it's just a great way to connect with friends and enjoy and have fun.
I think it gives a chance for students to work out and have fun competitively, but not too competitively, so not at the varsity level, but just for fun.
I think it brings an opportunity to expand your horizon of friendships, but also to be more active, because in college we just sit a lot and read a lot of textbooks, and that's kind of torture.
Welcome to sports. I'm Sarah Burns. After a successful opening weekend where the Lutz volleyball team defeated Willamette and Lewis and Clark to open conference play with 2 wins, Kaylee Shiramizu was awarded the Northwest Conference Defensive Player of the Week honors. The Lutz followed that up on Wednesday night in the Battle of the South Sound, where the Lutz lost in 3 sets. The team's next home games will be October 7th and 8th against Linfield and Pacific. Shiramizu wasn't the only Lute to receive honors this week, as Brad Hodkinson was named the Northwest Conference Runner of the Week. As the top Division III runner at the Sun Dodger Invite last Saturday, Hodkinson helped the team finish 18th overall at the meet. The women's team also showed their unity at the meet, as the team's 2nd to 5th runners all finished within 30 seconds of each other, as the team placed 26. The team now travels to Salem for the Charles Bowles Invitational on October 1st. The PLU men's golf team has found their swing. The team dominated the Lute Invitational this past Monday, winning by an 11-stroke margin. The team hopes to keep the momentum going until October 2nd, where they return to the course for the Whitman Invitational in Walla Walla. And after taking last week off, following their PLU Invitational, the women's golf team travels to Banks, Oregon for the Pacific Invitational this weekend. After the team was picked to finish 4th in the conference in the most recent NWC coaches poll. Football returns to a bye week after a weekend in Texas, as the team prepares to return to a contending spot in conference this season. They'll face their first conference foe of the season, Pacific, on October 1st at 1 p.m. at Sparks Stadium. The Lutz will likely get a big crowd, and we'll see if that can help power them to a victory. After a dominant opening weekend of conference play, where the Lutz took 2 straight shutouts at home over Whitworth and Whitman, the women's soccer team was ranked 16th in the NCAA Division III poll. The Lutz will travel to face Linfield and Lewis and Clark this weekend to see if they can climb even higher in the rankings. And finally, before the men's soccer team traveled down to Oregon, where they defeated George Fox but lost to Pacific in overtime, Mast TV got a chance to speak with head coach John York about how the team has changed since last season.
Men's soccer is back at PLU. Mast TV got a chance to speak with head coach John York to talk about how his team has changed since last season.
In terms of personnel, quite a bit. We have 16 new players. In terms of philosophies and values, nothing's really changed. In terms of what we're about, it's just a matter of trying to get 16 new players to understand and be comfortable with what our program is about.
One thing that hasn't changed is the team's potential. With York directing the team, they're always looking to reach the top.
No, always the goal is to win the Northwest Conference Championship. That's always one of our goals. That's always the main goal, really, in terms of the soccer side of things, And there's a lot of goals that are wrapped up in between there. One of the things we've really focused on this year, more so than even goals, is, we know we want to win the Northwest Conference Championship. We know that everyone wants to win that. We focus more on commitments, like what are we going to be committed to accomplish our goals. And so, in terms of that and creating a team personality around those commitments.
If you haven't checked out a men's soccer game yet, give it a shot. You're bound to see plenty of explosive plays.
When we play, most of the time, we're a hard-working, competitive type of team that passes the ball. We like to go forward with pace. We like to attack. I think we're disciplined in our defending. And I think we play a style that's fun for the players. We score a lot of goals. Most years we're number 1 or number 2 in all the attacking categories, and usually in the top 2 or 3 in all the defending categories as well.
This is Jake Billy reporting for Mast TV.
The men's soccer team hosts Whitman and Whitworth this Friday and Saturday. Both games will be at 2 p.m., so come support your Lutes as they face 2 challenging conference foes. That's all we have for you tonight. Thank you for joining us for our first broadcast of the year. We'll see you again soon on News at 9.